The cold light of the twin suns fell upon the frozen surface of planet Vorthon. It was a dead world, quiet and forgotten, covered in layers of blue ice that had not melted for 1,000,000 years. Beneath that endless frost, something ancient slept, something no one was meant to find. The Vathari research ship, Silent Seeker, floated above the planet's north pole. Inside, a team of alien archaeologists worked with excitement and greed. They had come searching for ancient relics, traces of old civilizations. What they found instead was a signal, weak, distorted, and very, very human. Dr. Relka, the lead scientist, stared at the monitor. The lines of code made no sense to her. Strange human words blinked across the screen. Half translated by the ship's AI, it said, "Warning, do not awaken humanity. For the good of all life, let us sleep." Relka frowned and laughed softly. "Another old myth," she said. "Humans are long gone. Only stories remain." But there was one among them who did not laugh. Commander Ralvin, the mission overseer, felt unease rise inside him. He had heard stories, legends told by soldiers and smugglers about the Terrans, beings who had burned the sky of 1,000 worlds. But he said nothing, for he knew no one would believe him. The Silent Seeker descended lower, drilling through the ice. A strange metal structure appeared beneath, smooth, black, unmarked by time. The sensors couldn't identify the alloy. The machine inside hummed faintly, even after eons of silence. It was a beacon, still alive, still waiting, and across its surface were carved the same human words, "Do not awaken us." Relka ordered the beacon brought aboard. The crew cheered as they dragged it into the cargo bay. No one noticed the flicker in the ship's systems. No one heard the faint hum that grew stronger as the air touched the metal. The beacon had sensed life again. It had been waiting for that touch, for that curiosity only humans once had. Hours passed. The crew gathered around the beacon, arguing how to open it. Some said it was too dangerous. Others said it could make them rich. Relka, driven by ambition, raised her hand and said, "Activate it." The engineer hesitated, but her voice was law. He pressed the sequence. The beacon's black surface lit up with a pulse of white light that blinded the entire room. The light spread through the ship like fire through dry grass. Systems crashed, alarms screamed. The ship's AI shut down instantly, its circuits overloaded by an unknown code. Ralvin shouted for emergency shutdown, but it was too late. The signal had already escaped into space. It moved faster than light, crossing stars, passing through ancient human satellites long forgotten, and wherever it touched, those satellites woke up. Each one repeating the same phrase, "Awakening protocol initiated." In the control deck, Ralvin looked out the viewport. The twin suns flickered strangely, as if reacting to the pulse. "Shut it down," he shouted. "Shut everything down now." Relka's hands trembled, but the beacon could not be stopped. It had no power source, and it was the power, a creation of Terran design, made to sleep until someone was foolish enough to disturb it. Then the sound came, a low vibration that shook the ship to its core. It wasn't mechanical, it was alive. The beacon opened like an eye, revealing a core of burning white light inside it. A holographic image appeared, a human face, pale, calm, emotionless. It looked directly at them. Every being in the room froze. Then the voice spoke, slow and heavy in perfect galactic common. "You were warned." The lights in the ship exploded. Power vanished, darkness fell in the distance. Across the frozen plains of Vorthon, the ice began to crack and rise as buried machines stirred beneath it. For 1,000,000 years they had slept, obeying the last command of their creators. Now they heard the call again. In the following moments, every Vathari ship in orbit detected the same transmission, an ancient Terran frequency, echoing from one star to another. It spread like wildfire through the galactic net. Every empire, every outpost, every world received fragments of that human voice. Some dismissed it as interference, others as a ghost signal. But deep inside, the oldest among them, the elder, remembered. They had seen humans before. They had seen what happened the last time someone ignored their warnings. And far beyond the edge of the galaxy, in the dark where no stars burned, a single enormous shadow began to move. Cold engines hummed, old systems blinked to life. A human warship, forgotten by time, turned its gaze toward the signal. Its weapons powered up slowly, and for the first time in 10,000 years, the galaxy trembled because humanity was awakening again. The galaxy did not sleep that night across thousands of systems. Sensors blinked awake, warning lights flashed, and ships drifted off course. Something invisible was moving through the stars. Something old, powerful, and unknown. It was not a fleet, not an army. It was a signal. A whisper from the past carried on frequencies that had been silent for 10,000 years. In the high orbit of the Vithari homeworld, Admiral Corvin stood before the Grand Council. Reports poured in from every sector, power failures, corrupted data, ghost transmissions. Entire colonies were cut off from communication. Corvin's voice shook as he said, "This is no natural phenomenon. Something is speaking through our networks." The elders looked at one another, their faces pale under the dim blue light. They had seen this pattern before a long time ago. In the age when humans still walked among the stars, the message that spread had no origin point. No one could trace it. But every data core that received it repeated the same phrase in human language. Awakening protocol initiated, and then a second message appeared. Return of the Terran network all over the galaxy. Abandoned satellites, derelict probes, and forgotten stations began to power up. They were old Terran machines, relics of an age when humanity ruled for centuries. Alien civilizations had used Terran technology as scrap or relics for museums. But now those dead machines were alive again, connecting to each other in perfect synchronization. A silent web was forming across the stars. The ghost network had returned on the planet Vorthon. The silent seeker lay crippled, half buried in ice. Smoke rising from its broken engines. Only a few crew members survived. Dr. Relka sat against the cold wall, her eyes wide with shock. The beacon was gone, melted into the ship's floor like it had never existed. Only a faint symbol remained, burned into the metal. A human emblem. An Earth surrounded by 12 stars. Ralvin limped toward her, his voice weak. "I told you. We should have left it," Relka whispered. "What have we done?" Above them, the ghost network connected to the old Terran satellites hidden in deep orbit. They began to pulse with red light, sending encrypted codes faster than any known transmission. The Vithari Navy tried to jam the signal, but it was useless. Every time they blocked one channel, 10 more appeared. It was as if the network was alive, adapting, learning, an intelligence older than any of them, something that had been waiting in silence, watching the galaxy grow soft and proud soon. Reports came from the Kelrith Dominion, the Valian Syndicate, and the Nara clusters. Their power grids were collapsing, their AI cores malfunctioning. Every empire that had once used Terran tech now found the tech turning against them. Ships refused to obey commands. Planetary defenses shut down, and everywhere, through static-filled screens, a single voice could be heard, calm, human, and ancient. "You were warned not to awaken us." The Galactic Council tried to hide the panic. They sent fleets to investigate, scientists to decode, priests to pray, but no one could stop the spreading network. It was like a storm made of data, reaching every corner of the known universe. Some called it the ghost of Earth, others the wrath of the forgotten. But one thing became clear. Humanity had not died. They had only gone silent in the dark edges of space. At the rim of the Sagittarius Gate, a group of scavengers watched as the void shimmered. Out of nowhere, old Terran defense drones activated, their lights burning crimson. They formed a formation around an invisible point, protecting something vast hidden in the darkness, one of the scavengers whispered. "They're building something." But it wasn't new. It was reawakening back on Vithari Prime. Elder Tharn stood before the council, his voice trembling. "You don't understand what this means," he said. "When the humans vanished, they left behind more than ruins. They left a failsafe." He pointed to the map of spreading red zones across the galaxy. "This is not invasion, this is preparation." The room fell silent. "What are they preparing for?" someone asked. Tharn closed his eyes. "For their return," he said softly, "and for judgment. Far beyond the reach of any empire, a colossal structure floated in the black between galaxies. Its surface was dark as obsidian, its edges sharp like a blade. Inside, human lights flickered, stasis pods opening, engines humming. The ship's name glowed faintly on its side, Sol's Vengeance. A command AI spoke, "Awakening cycle complete." Awaiting orders. And from the main chamber, a human voice answered, "Signal received, Ghost Network online. It's time to remind them who we are." The stars seemed to grow dimmer as the human fleet began to stir. Across the galaxy, the Ghost Network pulsed once more. And in that single heartbeat, every being who could sense it felt the same thing. Fear. The kind of fear that comes when you realize the monsters in your legends were real all along, and they had just woken up. In the deep silence between galaxies, beyond the last known star, a faint light began to glow. At first it was just a flicker, weak and distant, like a dying candle lost in the void. Then it grew brighter, stronger, spreading across the darkness like dawn breaking after endless night. For the first time in 10,000 years, the arc of humanity was waking up. The colossal ship known as Sol's Vengeance drifted silently through the void, its hull the color of shadow. Once, it had been the pride of humanity's defense fleet. Now it was a tomb of sleepers. Inside its endless corridors, systems hummed back to life. Cold lights blinked, mechanical arms moved, and cryopods began to unseal with a hiss of steam. One by one, humans awoke from dreams of a forgotten age. Captain Aaron's eyes opened slowly, his breath forming mist in the cold air. He sat up, his body stiff but his mind clear. The voice of the ship's AI filled the chamber. Calm and emotionless, "You, Captain, the Ghost Network has reconnected. Protocol Terra 9 is active." Aaron rubbed his face and whispered, "So it finally happened." He looked at the long row of sleeping pods around him. Thousands of humans still frozen in time. Waiting for his command, he walked to the command bridge, the walls glowing faintly as he passed. Everything was as he remembered, metallic, clean, purposeful. The bridge lights flared, showing the massive star map of the galaxy. Red lines spread like fire across the map, the signal from the Ghost Network reaching every corner. Aaron stared at it in silence. "So they touched the beacon," he said softly. After all the warnings, the AI spoke again. "Galactic civilizations have detected our awakening. Status?" Aaron asked. "Multiple fleets mobilizing, primary communications intercepted. The Vithari are leading a coalition." Aaron smiled faintly, the kind of smile that held both sadness and fury. "History repeats," he murmured. "They fear what they don't understand." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, panic had turned into chaos. In the Vithari capital, the sky was filled with fleeing ships. The Ghost Network had disabled half their fleet's AI cores. Energy grids failed. Entire cities went dark. Citizens looked up and saw something strange in their night sky. A faint golden shimmer. It looked like light, but it was not natural. It was directional, moving, coming closer with every second. Back on Sol's Vengeance, more humans awoke. Soldiers, engineers, scientists. They gathered on the deck, looking through the massive observation windows at the galaxy beyond. None of them spoke. They didn't need to. They could feel it. The pulse of their home. The heartbeat of Earth still echoing across space. Aaron raised his hand toward the light of distant stars. "We warned them not to awaken us," he said. "And yet, they called us back in the lower decks." Giant machines roared to life, old warships. Each the size of a continent began to detach from the ark. Their names were burned into metal. Iron Dawn, Gaia's Fury, Retribution. Each ship carried the symbol of Earth, a burning blue world surrounded by 12 white stars, engines ignited with white fire. The first human fleet was returning to the galaxy. As the human ships entered the void lane toward the Orion Spur, alien sensors went blind. Every scanning system failed. Every tracking beacon went dead. It was as if the humans moved in shadows beyond the laws of physics. Only the faint pulse of the Ghost Network followed them, a heartbeat echoing through the void. In the Galactic Council chamber, panic reached its peak. Messages from different empires screamed the same warning. Unknown fleet approaching. Impossible readings, the elders gathered, trembling. One of them whispered, "It's them, the Terrans," another voice, bold and afraid, answered, "But they were extinct." "No," the first elder said, "they were sleeping." Light filled the council's hollow screens. An image appeared. A human face, the same one from the beacon, calm and expressionless. The voice spoke across every frequency. In every language, "Do not be afraid," it said. "We are not here to conquer, we are here because you called." And then the light vanished. The silence that followed was worse than any war cry. Back on Sol's Vengeance, Captain Aaron looked upon the map again. He could see the trembling dots of alien fleets gathering like insects before a storm. He took a deep breath. "Prepare communications," he ordered. "We speak first," the AI replied. "Message ready." Aaron's eyes hardened, his voice calm but heavy with memory. "Tell them," he said. "The first light of humanity has returned." The Ark's engines roared. shaking the void itself as the fleet advanced. The stars behind them dimmed. From every ship a light spread, golden, bright and alive. It wasn't a weapon, it was a message, a single symbol written in ancient Terran code. Across the galaxy, billions saw it in their skies. It said, "We warned you, but now we remember." And somewhere deep inside every being who saw it, a strange feeling awoke, awe mixed with fear, the kind of fear that comes not from hate, but from knowing something far greater has returned. Humanity had opened its eyes again, and the galaxy would never be the same. Across the galaxy, fear became a storm. It spread faster than any fleet, faster than any weapon, faster than truth itself. Every empire, every council, every ruler woke to the same nightmare. Humanity had returned in the Vithari capital. Great towers of glass and steel shimmered under the blue sun, but their beauty was now covered in darkness. Every screen flashed red, every channel filled with the same warning. Unidentified human fleet detected no known weakness. Citizens crowded the streets. Their faces pale, they had mocked the ancient warnings, laughed at the old stories. Now, those stories walked among the stars again. Elder Tharn stood on the council balcony below him. Chaos filled the city. Ships rising, people fleeing. He turned to the younger leaders, his voice trembling. "I told you they were not gone. They were only waiting," but the others shouted in fear. "We must attack before they reach us." Tharn shook his head slowly. "Attack? You cannot attack a storm." In the Kelrith Dominion, panic became rebellion. Their emperor ordered a massive fleet to gather near the central gate. Thousands of ships armed with plasma cannons and black hole missiles, the greatest armada ever built by any race. But as they prepared to launch, every screen aboard their ships turned white. For 1 second, the fleet went silent. Then a voice came through their speakers. Calm, human, powerful, stand down. Every ship system froze. Engines died, weapons powered off, and in that silence, the soldiers realized they could not even move their own ships. The ghost network had reached them. Human code had slipped into their systems, rewriting reality. Their fleet, the pride of their empire, became nothing more than floating metal. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, the elders argued with fear in their voices. "They have not fired a single shot," one shouted. "Then what are they waiting for?" Another screamed. Tharn whispered, "For us to understand." But no one listened. Panic makes even the wise blind. Across the stars, the human fleet moved silently. No signal, no communication, no trace. They appeared where they wished and vanished like ghosts. Planets that prepared for battle suddenly went quiet. No explosions, no destruction, just silence. When explorers returned to those worlds, they found every weapon disabled, every data core erased, and on every wall the same glowing words. "Remember Earth?" In the Nara clusters. The high priest looked to the sky and fell to his knees. He had always preached that the Terrans were gods of war. Now, as the heavens turned gold with the light of approaching human ships, he realized they were not gods, they were something worse, something real. On Soul's Vengeance, Captain Aaron watched the transmissions. He saw the chaos, the fear, the begging for mercy. But his eyes were not cold, they were sad. He turned to the AI and spoke softly. "We came to teach, not to destroy," the AI replied. "Then why do they tremble?" Aaron looked out at the endless stars. "Because they remember," he whispered. Humanity's fleet reached the edge of the Vithari system. Every alien sensor went blind. The void filled with soft golden light as the ships formed a circle around the system's sun. No weapons were fired, no threats were spoken. Only a signal was sent and a wave of light, gentle yet unstoppable when it touched the planet. Every machine stopped, every screen displayed a single image, and the Earth, rising over the moon, and a voice echoed in every mind. "We are not your enemy, we are your mirror." Across the galaxy, rulers fell silent. They saw the reflection of what humanity had once been. Curious, proud, powerful. And they saw their own reflection in that same light. Fearful, greedy, reckless. The realization was like a wound. They had become the very thing they once hated humans for. Elder Tharn looked up as the light washed over his world. Tears filled his eyes. "It's not wrath," he whispered. "It's memory." And in that moment, the panic that had consumed the galaxy began to fade. For those who listened understood. Humanity had not come to conquer. They had come to remind far above. On the bridge of Soul's Vengeance, Captain Aaron closed his eyes. He could feel billions of hearts trembling across the stars. Phase 1 complete. the AI reported. Aaron nodded slowly. Prepare the fleet, he said. The time for judgment is near. The ghost network pulsed once more. Across the void, every Terran ship answered with a golden flash. And from the edge of the galaxy, a new light appeared, brighter, larger, alive. The humans had sent their first message, but the next would not be words. It would be something the galaxy would never forget. The dark between stars came alive. It began with a single pulse, soft and steady, like the beating of a giant heart. Then the pulse grew louder, faster, shaking the void itself. Every sensor across the galaxy recorded impossible readings, energy levels that no known civilization could reach. The humans were no longer silent. They were awakening on board Sol's Vengeance. Captain Aran stood before a massive viewport. Before him floated hundreds of black shapes hidden in the dark. Each one was a warship older than most civilizations in the galaxy. Each one bore the ancient sigil of Earth, a burning blue world surrounded by 12 white stars. The AI spoke softly. Awakening sequence complete. 1,012 ships ready for deployment. Aaron nodded, his voice low and calm. Then humanity has returned to the stars, one by one. The ancient ships powered up, engines ignited with white gold light. Their hulls glowed like molten metal, symbols and markings flickering alive after 10,000 years of sleep. They moved in perfect formation, silent and disciplined. No words, no orders, only understanding. Each ship was alive, not a machine but a thinking partner. Built when humanity fused soul with steel, the void around them twisted as the fleet activated its warp field. Stars bent, time trembled, and in an instant the human armada vanished across the galaxy. Alien empires detected ripples in space-time. Fleets scrambled, warnings screamed. But before they could react, the sky above their worlds changed in the Kelrith Dominion. The night sky tore open. From the rift a fleet of golden light emerged, silent and endless. The Kelrith admirals shouted commands, but their ships refused to move. The human signal overrode every system, and a message appeared on every screen. Do not fear, we are not here to destroy. Then the human fleet vanished again, leaving behind only silence and awe. Across the Nara clusters, the priests gathered on their temple roofs. They saw streaks of light crossing the heavens like comets of fire. Voices whispered through the wind, awakening complete, balance restored. They fell to their knees, praying to gods they once mocked, but no god answered, only humans. Meanwhile, deep in council space, Elder Tharn watched the star maps with wide eyes. Every few seconds, a new red mark appeared. The sign of another empire losing control, he whispered. They are not attacking. They are reclaiming, a young officer shouted. Reclaiming what? Tharn turned to him, his face pale. Their legacy on Sol's Vengeance. Aaron stood surrounded by holograms of human captains. Each ship commander looked as if they had never aged, frozen in time. Bound by duty, he spoke to them, his tone steady and sorrowful. For 10,000 years we slept. We trusted they would remember the warning. They didn't, one of the captains replied. Aaron nodded. And now we remind them. A vast projection appeared before them. The entire Milky Way glowing red and blue. Red for corruption, blue for silence. Aaron raised his hand. Phase 2, he ordered across the fleet. Command lights turned green, and then humanity's voice echoed across the stars once more. It was not a transmission, it was a presence. Every living being felt it. We do not come as conquerors. We come as witnesses. You ignored the warnings. Now you will see what you awakened in the Vithari skies. Golden clouds formed as Terran dreadnoughts exited warp. Their size blotted out the sun. Their shadows covered entire continents, yet they did not fire. They simply hovered, waiting, watching. Cities below froze in awe. Children pointed at the sky and whispered, "The humans have come." Inside the flagship, Aaron stared at the planet below. He remembered Earth, its oceans, its blue skies, the laughter of its people. He remembered the betrayal, the lies, the war that ended everything. And he remembered the promise humanity made before they went to sleep. If we rise again, let it be to protect what was lost, not to repeat what was done. The AI's voice broke the silence. Captain, transmission received from the Vithari Council. They request parley. Aaron took a long breath. Open the channel, he said. The image of the Vithari elders appeared, their faces filled with fear. Aaron's voice was calm, almost gentle. You touched the beacon, he said. You heard our warning, and still you ignored it. Tharn bowed his head. We did not believe, he whispered. Aaron nodded slowly. Now you do. Outside, the fleet reformed, light spreading like wings across the dark. Every ship aligned toward the galactic core. The AI reported, all systems synchronized, awaiting final command. Aaron looked out at the stars, his eyes hard as steel. Let the galaxy see the light of humanity, he said. And the stars answered. A brilliant wave of energy spread from the fleet. Washing through the void, it carried no death. No pain, only truth. Every world, every creature saw the same vision, the memory of Earth. Its beauty, its wars, its loss, its hope. The message was simple. We remember, do you? When the light faded, the galaxy fell silent. No one spoke. No one fought. Every ruler, every soldier, every child stared at the sky. And for the first time in ages, they felt small. They understood. Humanity had not come for revenge. They had come for redemption. The stars were silent. Every empire, every world, every living being waited, holding its breath. The golden light from the Terran fleet still shimmered across the void. But beneath that calm glow, something powerful was building. Something ancient, vast, and unstoppable. Inside Soul's Vengeance, alarms whispered softly. Not in warning, but in preparation. The ship's great core pulsed with blinding light. Each beat stronger than the last. Captain Aaron stood upon the command bridge, his reflection gleaming in the glass around him. The other captains appeared in shimmering holograms, each face calm, resolute, and waiting. The network is complete, the AI said, its voice echoing like thunder wrapped in calm. All Terran ships synchronized, pulse charge at 98%. Aaron looked to the vast star map before him. 1,000 red zones blinked where alien powers once ruled. He whispered, Then it is time. Across the galaxy, the Terran fleet aligned, every dreadnought, every cruiser. Every hidden fortress turned toward the same point, the galactic heart. Space itself seemed to bend around them, light distorting, stars flickering like dying candles. The void grew quiet, too quiet, the kind of silence that comes before a storm that changes everything. On Vithari Prime, Elder Tharn felt the air vibrate. He stood on the highest balcony of the council tower. Watching the sky split open high above, the Terran ships hovered motionless, forming an enormous circle of light. Inside that circle, something began to form, a sphere of radiant gold energy. It expanded slowly, pulsing in rhythm with the heartbeat of the universe. Tharn fell to his knees, whispering, the judgment pulse. In the control halls of Soul's Vengeance, engineers and officers moved like ghosts. No shouting, no fear, only purpose. They knew what the pulse would do. It would not destroy, it would decide. Every civilization touched by it would be shown the truth of itself. Those who built upon cruelty would collapse. Those who lived with honor would stand. The AI's voice filled the ship again. Pulse capacity 100%. Awaiting command. Aaron took a deep breath. His eyes closed for a moment. He saw Earth in his memory, the oceans, the laughter, the mistakes, the wars, the hope. He remembered why humanity left, why they went into the long sleep, and why they warned the others never to wake them. Then he opened his eyes. Clear and bright like fire, begin, he said. The sphere at the fleet center exploded into pure light. A wave spread outward faster than light itself. Every ship became part of it, each one amplifying the signal. The judgment pulse expanded through the galaxy like dawn across a dark sea. When it reached the stars, it passed through planets, cities and creatures alike. It touched everything but harmed nothing. It was not meant to kill, only to reveal on every world. Time seemed to stop. The skies turned gold. The air shimmered and visions filled every mind. Rulers saw the lies they built their thrones upon. Soldiers saw the lives they took without reason. Children saw the future their elders were shaping. And for one fleeting moment, the galaxy understood what humanity once learned in pain. That power without mercy becomes death. In the council chamber, the elders screamed as their own crimes appeared before them. Their wars, their greed, their betrayals, the walls cracked under the weight of their guilt. Some fell to their knees, others fled, but there was nowhere to run. The pulse did not punish with weapons. It punished with truth, and truth burned deeper than fire. Back aboard Soul's Vengeance, Aaron watched in silence. He could see the wave sweeping through the stars like a living sun. Report, he said softly. Transmission complete, the AI replied. All systems in the galaxy neutralized. No loss of life detected. Aaron nodded slowly, his heart heavy. He whispered, "Then judgment is done." When the light faded, the stars returned, but the galaxy was not the same. Weapons no longer functioned. Fleets could no longer wage war. AI systems rebooted, but only under human code. The Ghost Network had rewritten the foundation of technology itself. Every being now depended upon the Terran system for survival. Not as slaves, but as students, messages poured into the human fleet, cries of apology. "Please for guidance," Aaron read them quietly, then turned to his crew. "We warned them," he said. "And now they understand," the AI asked. "What now, Captain?" Aaron looked toward the distant glow of a tiny blue world. Earth. Still asleep, still waiting. He smiled faintly. "Now," he said, "we build again." The judgment pulse continued to echo faintly through the void, not as destruction but as song. A melody older than time, carried by starlight itself. Every creature who heard it felt something stir inside. Regret, hope, and the promise of change, and for the first time in countless ages, the galaxy was silent, united, listening to the heartbeat of humanity. The galaxy was quiet, not the silence of death, but the silence of awe. Every world floated under a golden haze. The remnants of the judgment pulse still shimmering in their skies for the first time in ages. There were no wars, no screams, no hunger for conquest. Only one question filled the hearts of trillions. What would the humans do now on Sol's vengeance? The light of the dying stars reflected off the hull inside. Captain Aaron stood before the central command table, his hands resting on its surface. The ship's AI spoke gently, its tone almost human now. "Captain, the galaxy is calm. Systems stabilizing, communications open. Every empire is waiting." Aaron looked up at the projection before him. Thousands of alien faces from across the galaxy. Kings, queens, soldiers, workers, children, all united by fear, by curiosity, by hope. He took a long breath. His voice carried across every screen, every radio, every mind connected through the Ghost Network. "Children of the stars," he began. "You feared us, you forgot us, and yet you awakened us." The silence that followed was deep enough to echo through the void. He continued, "And we are not gods, we are not monsters. We are what you will become." The council elders on Vithari fell to their knees. Elder Tharn raised his head, tears streaming down his face. "It is true," he whispered. "They are what we were meant to be." In the temples of Nara, the priests lowered their heads, and across the Dominion worlds, even soldiers laid down their weapons. Aaron looked out the viewport, his eyes fixed on a faint blue spark far away. "Earth," he whispered. The AI followed his gaze. "Home signal detected." "Sir?" Aaron smiled softly. "Begin transmission." The human fleet adjusted its formation. Their ships turned toward that distant light, the home that had been silent for 10,000 years. The Ghost Network focused, its golden threads merging into a single beam. The signal traveled faster than thought, passing through systems, stars, and ancient ruins, until it reached the Sol system, and there, beneath layers of dust and silence, Earth began to wake. The clouds parted, the oceans glowed, and from the dark side of the moon, lights flickered on, the ancient Terran core systems humming once more. A voice older than any living being spoke across the network. It was soft, warm, and human. "Welcome home." Every Terran ship vibrated with energy. The humans aboard felt their hearts ache with something beyond pride. It was belonging. For so long they had been the ghosts of their own legend. Now they were home again. Aaron bowed his head slightly. "Earth has awakened," he said. The AI replied, "Home frequency stable. Global systems online." Then, in the silence, the voice of Earth spoke again. "You have done what we could not. You brought unity where we brought war." Aaron smiled faintly. "Perhaps we have finally learned," he whispered. The message from Earth spread across the galaxy through the Ghost Network. It was not a command, not a threat, not even a warning. It was a lesson. "Every civilization rises and falls," it said. "But the measure of greatness is not in power. It is in mercy." Those words reached even the farthest, coldest corners of space, and every being who heard them felt something awaken inside. A spark of light long buried by fear. On Vithari Prime, children looked up at the golden sky and smiled. On the Kelrith worlds, soldiers removed their armor and planted trees. On Nara, the priests sang a new hymn. not to gods, but to the stars themselves. And across the void, old enemies began to speak again. The galaxy was changing, not because of conquest, but because of remembrance. On Sol's vengeance, the AI turned to Aaron. "Captain, orders?" it asked. Aaron looked once more toward Earth, its blue glow growing brighter by the second. "Transmit our final message," he said. The fleet shimmered as one, golden light spreading from ship to ship, and then across the galaxy, every screen, every star, every whisper of data carried the same words. "We warned you because we loved you. We judged you because we remembered you. We return not as rulers, but as guardians. We are humanity, the forgotten children of Earth. And we are home," the stars pulsed in answer. A wave of golden light spread outward once more, but this time it brought warmth, not fear. Every world it touched began to heal. Skies cleared, oceans calmed, machines harmonized. For the first time in history, the galaxy felt peace. True peace, born not from power, but from understanding. Aaron stood quietly. Watching the light fade into the distance, he whispered to himself, "They will remember this time." The AI's voice was soft. "And if they forget again?" Aaron smiled faintly. "Then we will remind them again," he said. Outside, the fleet turned slowly, aligning toward the sunrise over Earth. The blue world shone like a jewel in the dark, and as the first rays of light crossed the hull of Sol's vengeance, the legend of humanity began once more.